Are you ready for the unexpected? Here we go. Number 1, they predicted natural disasters without technology. Imagine living without radar satellites or apps buzzing your phone with weather alerts. For ancient people, nature itself was the only notification system, and somehow they figured it out. Pacific Islanders could read the shape of waves, the color of the horizon, even the flight of seabirds to know when a storm was brewing. They didn't have Doppler radar, but they could literally feel the ocean shift beneath their canoes. That meant predicting hurricanes days before they hit. Meanwhile, most of us can't even tell if it's going to rain in an hour without checking our phones. Ancient Chinese records describe animals acting strangely before earthquakes. Dogs barking like crazy, snakes slithering out of their burrows, chickens refusing to roost. Scientists today admit animals might sense vibrations. Basically, ancient people ran an entire seismic detection system powered by goats, birds, and random barking. And volcanoes, indigenous groups in the Pacific Northwest told myths about fire mountains long before geologists mapped fault lines. Polynesian chants warned which islands could boil the sea. These weren't bedtime stories. They were survival manuals coded into culture. Number 2, they farmed in impossible landscapes. Modern people complain when the grocery store runs out of avocados. Ancient farmers made crops grow in places that looked impossible. Mountains, deserts, swamps, you name it, they tamed it. The Inca carved terraces into cliffs in the Andes, transforming steep slopes into farmland. Those stone steps weren't just pretty. They stopped erosion, channeled glacier meltwater, and created microclimates. Some terraces could grow potatoes, while others were perfect for corn. Even today, farmers in Peru still use those terraces because modern methods can't compete. In the Middle East, the Nabateans engineered secret cisterns, hidden pipes, and underground reservoirs. They caught every drop of rain and stored it for dry seasons. Imagine living in the desert, watching water vanish in minutes and still figuring out how to grow wheat. That's not luck. That's genius-level plumbing. The Aztecs had the opposite problem, too much water. So they invented chinampas, floating gardens anchored in shallow lakes. These green rafts produced food year-round, without fertilizers and with built-in irrigation. Scientists today admit chinampas were more sustainable than many modern farms. Meanwhile, we kill houseplants even with YouTube tutorials. Ancient humans farmed in places where tractors, sprinklers, and fertilizers would fail. Number 3, they turned deadly plants into medicine. Egyptians treated wounds with moldy bread, which sounds disgusting but worked, because it contained penicillin-like compounds. That's 3,000 years before Alexander Fleming discovered antibiotics. Indigenous tribes in South America figured out how to brew curare, a poison strong enough to stop your heart, into controlled doses that became muscle relaxants. The same plant that killed enemies also became a surgical tool. Talk about dual purpose. In Asia, people discovered how to detoxify roots like aconite, one of the deadliest plants on Earth. Raw, it'll kill you in minutes. Prepared correctly, it became a treatment for pain and inflammation. Even aspirin comes from willow bark, used by ancient Greeks to treat headaches. Modern pharma companies still rely on plant-based compounds. The truth: ancient people invented drugstores without shelves, and the forest was their pharmacy. Number 4, they engineered sound for survival. We think microphone speakers and noise-canceling headphones are cutting edge. Ancient people were hacking sound before the word acoustics even existed. Greek theaters were designed so that a whisper on stage could be heard clearly in the farthest seats. Engineers used stone curves and precise angles to amplify sound naturally. No speakers, no feedback, just math, marble, and magic. The Mayans built pyramids, where a clap at the base bounces back as the call of a sacred Quetzal bird. Scientists tested it. It's not random. It's deliberate sound engineering. Basically, the Mayans turned temples into surround sound systems centuries before IMAX. Hunters used echoes in caves as prehistoric sonar. By listening to how sounds bounced, they could find animals in the dark. Some even used conch shells or bone flutes to mimic animal calls, luring prey closer. Sound wasn't just art, it was survival tech. Number 5, they made global trade without planes or trucks. Archaeologists have found seashells from the Red Sea in Mesopotamia and obsidian from Turkey in Egyptian tombs. That means entire supply chains existed thousands of years ago without GPS or shipping containers. The Phoenicians ruled the Mediterranean with fleets of trading ships. They didn't just move goods, they spread alphabets, math, and technology. Imagine inventing both international trade and the letters you're reading right now. And the Silk Road, that wasn't just a trade route, it was a global information superhighway connecting China, India, Persia, and Rome. Merchants carried silk spices, religion, and diseases. Without it, half of human culture wouldn't exist. We think UPS is impressive, but ancient traders carried goods across deserts, mountains, and oceans with no maps, and they still got the package delivered, sometimes faster than modern shipping during the holidays. Number 6, they used renewable energy before it was cool. We act like renewable energy is a brand new thing. Solar panels, wind farms, hydroelectric dams. Cute. Ancient people were already experts. Persians built the first windmills over 1,500 years ago to grind grain. Greeks and Romans used water wheels to power mills and mines. And nearly every ancient culture used animals as living engines. Horses pulling plows, oxen grinding grain, camels hauling goods. Even homes were designed for efficiency. The ancestral Puebloans in North America built cliff dwellings that stayed cool in summer and warm in winter. They achieved this by using natural airflow. That's passive solar design before architects had degrees. They didn't burn fossil fuels or build polluting factories. Their energy was clean and endlessly renewable. In other words, ancient people lived green not because it was trendy, but because it was the only way to survive. Number 7, they preserved food better than us. We panic if the fridge dies for 24 hours. Ancient people stored food for years without electricity. The Inuit buried fish in ice pits, creating natural freezers. Egyptians perfected drying, salting, and fermenting to prepare for famines. And in the Andes, people invented chuño, a kind of freeze-dried potato. They left the potatoes outside during freezing nights. During the day, they stomped on them to squeeze out the water. Chuño could last for decades and feed entire armies. Even wine, cheese, and pickles started as preservation hacks. What we consider gourmet foods were originally survival tricks. NASA astronauts eat freeze-dried meals in space, literally a recycled Incan invention. Ancient people didn't fear expiration dates. They built food systems that made survival possible through droughts, wars, and migrations. Meanwhile, we toss milk after the sell-by date because it smells funny. So what's the verdict? Ancient humans weren't dumb cave dwellers. They were innovators, engineers, and scientists disguised in animal skins. They predicted storms without satellites, grew crops where tractors fail, and turned poisons into medicine. They hacked acoustics before microphones, built global trade routes before maps, used renewable energy before it was cool, and preserved food better than our refrigerators. Ancient humans weren't primitive, they were genius.